Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Chainlink, taking a look at what's been going on most recently with the price action and what I think is likely to happen next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Link is in the description below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? Let's jump right down into today's video. Let's kick things off with that 1 hour time frame and review what's been going on. So we do find ourselves at a bit of an impulsive break to the upside. This is a good sign for Chainlink. Now, one of the things I do want to kind of stress at this point, though, is that Chainlink is an incredibly volatile asset. Essentially, it comes down to the amount of demand for other dApps and other protocols as to whether or not Chainlink is going to really get a significant run to the upside or not. And in this particular case here, we saw a lot of speculative investment, etc. going on here. We see a bit of a fuel to the upside and some fantastic things happening from a fundamental standpoint. Ultimately, we are in a 5-wave impulsive break. So 1, 2, 3. This appears to be 4, and we've got to go up into 5, right? That's kind of what we hope for. You can see that we crossed the 1.618 target range just here as well. And I can't see an easy 4th wave anywhere else in here. So it has to be this move here. Now, what we want to do is we want to scrutinize what's going on internally within this little area, right? We can see a reasonable amount of overlap, but we still are going down in a 5-wave direction. So I want to just check here whether or not this is impulsive or is it just still corrective? And it is impulsive. This is a bit of a problem for Chainlink's 4th wave movement. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 coming down. Now, as I've said many times before, and I'll say it again, and I'll do it in this particular video here, if we have a 5-wave move that goes down like this, we must have a 3-wave bounce upwards and another 5-wave move down. Okay, minimum expectation. If you start with 5, you must end with 5. Okay, and of course there are other scenarios here where you end up with 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. Okay, and that would basically be your impulsive structure. So you'd have 5 waves coming down. You'd have your 3 waves going up, like so. You'd then have a deeper 5-wave move like this, followed by an additional wave 4 or 3-wave pattern, followed by the final 5 waves, right? If you start with 5, you must end in 5. The difference between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure of 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 and that of an A, B, and C structure is the Fibonacci retracement of this pattern right here. Okay, this pattern here moved over to our wave 2, crosses the 1.618, whereas this one here would only be a 1 to 1.236, and you can see how I instinctively draw these approximately to those right areas, right? And so the two things that we need to kind of consider is a 5 move down, a 3 move up, and another 5-wave move. Well, I can draw with this mouse today. Coming down like this. Okay, so we end up with a 535 or a 53535. Now, why am I talking about this? Why is this important? This is really important because of where we find ourselves here within this wave 4. If we've started with 5 coming down, we've got to have 3 waves going up and we've got to have another 5 waves coming down. That essentially means that we could run the risk of potentially invalidating our structure by crossing the wave 1 peak, which was here at $6.46. Okay, so wave 4 is never, let me get rid of that, is never allowed to cross wave 1 unless, of course, you're in some kind of diagonal based pattern, which we are not. We are in an impulsive pattern, so we cannot cross this. If we cross this, it breaks the whole pattern down. But we do know, and we should experience a deeper wave 4 than we currently have. That's not to say that we won't push up a little ways beforehand, because we can, of course, rally up a little way further. It also looks to me like we have the beginning of potential of the next 5-wave drop, so we want to be a little bit cautious here. It's not one that I personally would trade, but let's go ahead and assume that we still have a little bit more room to the upside before we kind of start this next move down. Where would that potential sit? Well, that potential would sit more towards $8 with the potential to finish this pattern off if we want to see a nice kind of conservative correction in wave 4, right? So that would be the target range. However, looking at it, to me, I would say that although we have momentum to shift upwards, my concerns are that we may have already peaked here within that wave 4 and we've got to come down closer towards $6.70 $8 and $6.56, right? So again, a little just above here, that wave 1, and still would be valid within the wave 4 structure. Okay, so for Chainlink, it's looking quite volatile on the 1 hour time frame. So yet it's quite not conclusive, I should say, sorry. That, you know, we can potentially go in either direction. So I don't think we're going to get the decision made this weekend either. So again, I would not trade Chainlink until I know definitively which one of these patterns is going. Ultimately, we could go long on the wave 5, but I think you'll probably be better off waiting for shorting from the 5th wave high, because that's going to basically give you the maximum amount of moves to the downside. Okay, and that's going to give you more percentage gains, in my opinion, as it's going to be a much deeper corrective move down than it is likely to be to the upside, specifically if we were to kind of break that structure. But again, 5 waves up, 3 waves down, another 5 waves up. So again, we would look at this as a potential breakout situation for Chainlink, but we do need to appreciate that we can't go in straight lines, so we do have to have natural healthy corrections. So if we do complete the 5th wave movement on Chainlink here, we short for the big 3 wave correction, and then we go long once that ends, because the next move after that 3 wave correction to the downside, which if I go to my daily time frame will be a little bit clearer here, would be very, very powerful, right? Now, if we also take stock of where we sit with this at the moment, there is one other thing that could potentially be in play, which is a 3-wave pattern from over here, which basically would be a 335. The 335 is essentially a flat correction, and so, you know, we'll still be looking for that short over here, okay, and it'll be a very nice healthy short, and then of course, you know, we think about maybe going long once that ends and seeing how that pattern goes out. Okay, ultimately, where we currently sit, we've got a couple of different ways of thinking. We are either looking at this as our starting position down here in the current bear market low at 476, or alternatively, we actually are starting a new pattern to the upside. Okay, so I want to be a little bit cautious here. I think we've got a lot of resistance that we're fighting up against. You can see that we're just ranging down here in this pattern, and so we want to be, you know, experiencing or expecting to kind of be a continuation of this volatility. Essentially, we haven't got the demand in the crypto space just yet to see Chainlink really do incredibly well. So we do see some volatility. It's got some great fundamental things going on at the moment, and I think that's going to really help. But essentially, I am still looking for further downside in price action, and I think we are, even if we do kind of complete that 5th wave movement to the upside, there's going to be a fantastic shorting opportunity there. Now, taking a look at it from a weekly standpoint, you can still see that my expectations are that we go down into new bear market lows on Chainlink. And yeah, incredibly cheap. Whether we go down this low is probably unlikely, but 173 would be the lowest point. But I think more conservatively around the $4.06 is probably where we're going to end up. Essentially means that this broad range of a Z-wave pattern here can go as deep as 173, but I don't think that's likely to happen. I think we'll probably stay above the $3 level. Potentially, if we're lucky enough, we might drop down just a fraction lower than $3, but for the most part, the higher range expectation on the Z wave pattern. Ultimately, below $4, I think, is where the true value sits, and where we can potentially see some really good value added to the portfolios. Ultimately, though, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give anyone financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I personally see it, and you should probably consult your own financial advisor if you have got access to one. Ultimately, these are just my thoughts and opinions and where I think Chainlink is going. Let me know what yours are down in the comments down below. And I'm going to wrap the video up right there. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.